Hello and welcome everyone. Tari Prinster here from Yoga for Cancer. And I am here today to talk with you about props, yoga props. In Yoga for Cancer, we are very, very fond of our props. We use them throughout our practice for many reasons. Some of those reasons are comfort and safety, and also accessibility, making the yoga poses available to you wherever you are in your body, wherever you are in your practice, and whatever your challenges, your personal challenges might be. So that is why we use props, to bring the yoga to you. And I'm just going to talk about the props that we are most fond of and offer some suggestions that if you are doing yoga in your home, which I hope you are, you may not have all these wonderful standard yoga props, but there are solutions that you can find at home, and I would like to go over some of those suggestions. But first of all, at a minimum, what we need for yoga props to start a yoga practice or continue one at home. Well, we start with the yoga mat. And I'm showing this one here, which is, as you can see, it is pretty thin. It's not those cushy mats that you might find in the gym. It is thin because it's also going to be sticky, so it sticks to the, well, it adheres somewhat to the floor. But the cushier ones, the thicker ones, don't really allow for you to understand how your body is working when you are standing in a pose, to completely feel your feet or your knees or your hands being supported by the floor underneath you. And the thinner mat is much safer. So I think it was comfort that I mentioned as one of the reasons, and the second reason for using props was safety. And a thinner mat is much safer. And then I think the second, probably most important prop that we use in a yoga practice are our yoga blankets. Yoga blankets are very, very versatile, and they don't have to be the beautiful yoga blankets that come from Mexico with the fringe on the end. They do not have to be that at all. They could be just a home blanket that folds up nice in all sorts of shapes. And in fact, this particular blanket folds up almost to create the shape of what a bolster would look like. Because the bolster is probably the third or fourth most important prop. So my home cozy TV blanket will fold up just like the blankets from Mexico, which can be made into the shape of a bolster. This is a standard yoga bolster, and probably if you are going to go buy a yoga bolster, I suggest this shape. And you can see it is rectangular in its depth. And that is not circular, it's rectangular. The circular bolsters are the ones that would have a circle on the end instead of a rectangle, are probably a little less comfortable because they promote tippiness. And that's not, the second word I used was safety. So a rectangular bolster like this, and as you can see, blankets can be folded to make into that bolster shape with very, very little effort. And look at that, almost identical. So those are some of the things: mats, blankets, bolsters, and if you do have a household cushion, you know, that is shaped sort of like a bolster, that could be used. my preference would be to fold the blankets to mimic the shape of a standard yoga bolster. Now, there is another category of prop that I am very, very fond of and is extraordinarily useful to making everything we do in yoga accessible and also safe. And the first word I used was comfort, and these contribute to your comfort as well. Certainly they contribute to my comfort in doing my yoga practice as I have gotten older. And those are the magical, useful yoga blocks. These are standard yoga blocks having 3 different dimensions. And they're extremely useful, but you know, maybe you don't have any or don't want to buy any and are just still trying this yoga thing out. I've got some things around the house that are equivalent to a yoga block and actually almost as strong as a yoga block, but a whole lot cheaper. And those are my paper towel rolls. So this is a whole roll that has not been opened up and can function just as a block. If you can see how I can put almost my whole weight of my body on those paper towels, and they are very, very secure. Now, the paper towels also are lightweight, and they provide a lot of softness, which can be used sometimes as a bolster. So 1 or 2 could be made into a small bolster. So very, very functional, and you've got them around the house. Now, another way to make a yoga block, I discovered this, that it takes 6 CD covers. How many of you are still using your CDs? We don't use them very much, do we? I bet you have some old CDs on the shelf up there. Take 6 of them, and these are 6 taped together. 6 here, taped together. See, you can see the tape on it. 6 taped together, and almost equivalent height of a yoga block. Just say it. Oh, I think these are CDs. That's how old this. No, the DVDs. These are DVD covers, not CD covers. DVD. How old are our DVDs? I even forgot what they were. So there you go. DVD covers make great yoga blocks with a little bit of tape. So look at that. And because I do strongly urge you to find some yoga blocks, and we use at least, sometimes more, at least 2, but that may not be enough wherever you are in your yoga practice. We want to be adaptable. So that is why I would encourage you to look into DVDs as additional yoga blocks to build a nice high yoga block tower. So that's one of the first things that we do in a Yoga for Cancer class is figure out how high your tower needs to be. Then there are 3 other props that are quite useful in our array of things to have when you are doing your yoga practice. And one is, of course, there are many poses that can be done in a chair. And it doesn't have to be a fancy chair. It could be just a very simple, this is a very simple folding chair. And you can use a chair from your kitchen, and sometimes they can be helpful. And actually, if you have 2 the same height, they might be used and set up on your sticky mat as a whole high yoga tower, block tower. So they're very useful chairs. And then oftentimes we need to use something like a strap. And yoga straps are very common in yoga studios, but they're not critical and necessary. You don't have to go and buy a yoga specific strap. This is a yoga specific strap. It clips together on one end, and it's usually cloth and nice and soft. And it's about this long and this shape. You don't have to buy a yoga strap. There are probably many other things. There are exercise bands. I use this almost every day in my yoga practice. It's just one of those exercise bands that you might have used when you went to the gym and haven't used in years. They work just fine as a yoga strap. Or even a scarf. A scarf can be very, very useful. So you don't, I'm sure everyone has at least one scarf around, if not a lot. Scarf can be used as a yoga strap. Nothing fancy, very accessible and available, I think, in almost all of our households. And then finally, I would suggest that you think about this wonderful little yoga prop, which is called an eye pillow. An eye pillow can be a piece of any kind of fabric filled with rice or other flexible content. And of course, we always use it with a tissue that covers the eye, and then the eye pillow is